Welcome to Momentous Doge, Episode 4, Momentous Numbers, where we learn the true secrets of good butcher play, saying momentous numbers over and over until the guys are dead and someone's won. So, once again, we've got Dave on channel playing Morticians into my butchers, because, you know, Dave's a sadist. This time we're switching it up and I'm playing Ox into Obulus again. We have Compound standing in for Skulk, because he's not even assembled yet. I love the new pre-assembled plastics. Just keep doing that, Steamforged. Just keep doing that. So, I've elected for Ox while receiving, because that seems good. Dave is kicking with Cosset here, trying out some tech. So Cosset kicks. He tries what I thought was a reasonably safe kick. That looks fine. Turns out twice in a row he just gets unlucky. So I start with the ball, and I proceed to spend a little bit of time here. You can see me tilting a bit, because I don't know what to do when I get the ball for free, and I don't have to go get it. That could have gone pretty bad for me. If it had gone nice for him and scattered outside of Boar's range, that would have been a bit awkward. But, you know, I'd rather be lucky than good any day. So here, I've started with it on Shank. I don't think I'm going to score this turn, but if I am, it's going to be with a Brisket. So I'm going to be kicking down the line there. I haven't bothered to put any on Boar this turn, because I don't really expect him to get into the action. So we've loaded up everyone else. Starting with Shank, we've got 3 on him, because he's not very good anymore and can only have 3. So we have enough for a kick, and where'd they go, and a something. Or what we're going to do here is we're going to assess how greedy we want to be. Cosset's sort of positioned in the archetypal, like, where Mist ends up, threatening the ball all the time. So Cosset's obviously threatening a bit of damage this time instead. So I feel like I want to tie up the Furious model. So here I'm measuring out Shank's kick and a dodge, and then making sure I'm in range to charge Cosset afterwards. So thankfully, we're all good. So we use our 3 influence to charge into Cosset, get some damage and a momentum, and that's good times. So this is a pretty good first activation, I think. Puts the pressure all back on Dave. Shank is mostly out of range of all of his stuff. And I've disabled his guy, who's sort of supposed to be parked in my grill. And it feels reasonably okay. So Dave's first activation, after this you'll see him smash his face and put a dice down up the top. That's how many times he's missed the puppet dodge. Spoilers, it's a lot. So, this is Dave going in the tank. I think this is correct, because he really needs to respond quite well. This early game is a bit important, I think. I have the ball, so he needs to mitigate how well I can use that as much as he can. So here he's going for a bit of a silence play with the fire AoE, a bit of smoke tech to sort of try and slow me down. I'm not sure this is the greatest play in hindsight, but when he put it down, I was sort of feeling like, yeah, that's a move I could make. So luckily enough, I put a casual one on Doggo, because I knew I had the ball. And so Doggo kicks to Boiler and makes it. And here I'm sort of mulling out. I put a proxy base down and I'm like, do I want to dodge Boiler? Yeah, nah. And then I remember I have Sikkim. I'm like, oh, I'll just dodge the Doggo. So Doggo dodges out to the side, and whoops, remember how Sikkim works. It's not 4 inches of Boiler, it's 4 inches of the Captain. So, thankfully, if we dodge up the front there, we're still in range of Sikkim's 6 inches onto silence. which is nice. Now Silence is feeling a bit dangerous, you might say. We get a decent result with a Mom 3 on the charge. I think that's pretty good into 5s, if I'm being honest. This, for me, is sort of when Dave starts to get a bit worried about this game. He's got a reasonable clock lead of 3 minutes, but the game's going a bit fast for it. He wants to slow it down, and that's not really happening. So he goes for a bit early in the turn on the Obelisk play, and Puppet Master's Shank out so he can get his Cosset live again. I think that's an okay play. If he's going to do that, he sort of needs to do it now. He's probably not getting that ball back this turn with Obelisk on the starting line, and that's the downside of kicking with someone who's not missed and not Obelisk, because you're probably not getting the ball back unless your opponent's a bit of an idiot. Here I'm just making all my kicks again, which is nice, and Boiler goes for a bit of a jog around the fire. Just casually living the dream, because why not? And then puts the beat down on Silence, leaving him on 1, I believe, which is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I probably would have liked to kill him this turn, given my druthers, but it turns out that's an okay result to me later in the game. Having the ball passed onto Ox here is a subtle oopsie from me. I probably should have passed it to Brisket instead of Ox, because now I can't kick with Ox because it doesn't have any influence, and dodge Brisket into goal range. So, whoops, guess I fucked up. Turns out that terrible play is not so bad after all in the end, but it's one of those little things where you lose some game flexibility for no real reason. It could have mattered depending on how Dave played, but, guess I got away with it. Here I'm down 7 minutes, so all of this fancy footwork's chewing through my time. Dave just moving Burb up, engage Shank, get some crowds. At this point, I'm getting ready to write Shank off. At 4-0, I'm not entirely confident he's going to survive, so Ox just drops the ball to Brisket and walks up. Here's the we read the Skulk card phase of the game, because new models, not in the app yet. We use a custom-made app, gbh.nic.ng in your browser, which allows us to have health pools visible to both players playing on their own device, and you can update your own and your opponents can see it in real time, look at the cards without having to ask for them. It's just, you might say, a more civilized gaming experience. So that's why you don't see any cards on the table. The tablets are sort of down by the bottom of the screen, just out of frame. Here, Brisket's going. We're going to chuck some dirty knives out and kick to Boar for the dodge. I sort of felt this was a teeny weeny bit risky. It opens up him stealing the ball back with Cosset, but he'd need to take a pretty oblique angle and maybe risk a Shank free strike to get there. In the end, he sort of opts for the safe route and just goes in to kill Shank, which is entirely fair. I've managed to get Boar live, which is a pretty big deal, I think. It livens up that, one air quotes influence that he's bringing to the table again, and seeing as I couldn't score anyway, it's not really a big deal. Thankfully, though, that Dirty Knives is about to become pretty relevant. So Shank's dead. Newsflash. That was pretty much guaranteed. So Boar goes for a fantastical charge, staying outside of Skulk, because we can only be so bad this game. He gets pretty decent results, and Dave has to remind me that Berserk exists, because I'm just not very with it. It's been a while since I played Butchers. And Boar's pretty good when he goes off. So Cosset's looking a bit worse for wear after this activation. We've dropped the ball to Brisket on our way in. Quite important because I don't want that ball on a 3-0 guy. And it's pretty safe on Brisket, I think. Here, Brain Pan and Memory going. The dice up the top ticking down. Oh, so many forgotten dodges. So he just dodges Memory in a bit. Here, we're rolling for the turn, but I'm at 1, I think, and I win the roll. So this is pretty bad for Dave. If he'd won that, the game's pretty even, I think. He could Puppet Master the ball off Brisket, take the dodge and score, maybe. As is, it's a bit rough for him. With silence down so low, it's not exactly... I have a lot of choices how to begin this turn. So I spend a bit more time in the tank. I'm down 7 minutes now, which is not ideal. But this is sort of one of those things that you need to spend the time where you get the most value out of it. I was considering starting the turn with something dumb like Doggo kills silence and runs to Brain Pan optimistically. Maybe if I could get into Skulk, that might be nice. But turns out that's just a terrible plan. I got like Boiler Vision on. I just want to smash things with Assist. Is Assist the rule? I don't know. I always call it Double Doggo. So Dave's allocated influence. I've allocated influence. You know, massive surprises, stacks in all the usual places. Shank just coming on the side. Going to set out the rest of this game. He's done his work. We decide to go with the obviously amazing plan of Brisket charges silence. 8 dice, 2 buddies. It's pretty much guaranteed that Brisket's going to kill silence. And turns out Super Shot gives you a 10-inch kick. And 10 inches is a long way. I usually like to get the free 2 influence with Vet Brisket when I'm receiving, just scoring a first turn goal. But I can, in an Ox team, I don't feel like I need Meat Hook for the debuff as much and Tooled Up. So I can take regular Brisket and get the Dirty Knives instead. And that's, I think Dirty Knives is just a lot more flexible than Hooked. The range is huge for me. Here I kill silence, and I'm like, oh, Momentous 2, why would I just not take the dodge? Turns out because I haven't read Skulk's card yet. And Skulk has, counter dodge thing. Thankfully, I'm just outside of getting wrecked range because of that forest. Rather be lucky than good is my motto. So Brisket slots the goal, and we just get a casual 6-point activation with my striker. Living the dream. Couldn't really ask for more justifiably there. So I'm up 8-2 at this point. And that's a big part of Guild Ball, I think, here is not quitting when you're down. This game is still very winnable for Dave. My only 2-inch melee model is Boar, and Obulus still pretty much gets to... Well, okay, only 2-inch melee model, because Shank's all the way up the fuck there, and he's basically done with this game. Unless he's going another 4 turns. So, Obulus just gets to do whatever he wants. Ball goes into a nice and dead spot. So, my 8 VPs is pretty much 2 kills away. That goal is going to be another turn or 2 if I want that. So, pretty much locked into the 2 more kills. Not the end of the world, but such is life. Here, could be worse. Skulk doing some things. Hit Nox. Boar. Duh. Like, this could be worse. This is sort of what I find. You get one good boar activation a game, and then if your opponent lets you have another one, you start to get real value out of him. But that first boar activation was pretty good. So, as long as it's good enough, I'm fine with boar. The other 2-inch melee models are just as bad, I think. And boar's upside is pretty huge. As long as you can mitigate, like, the problems with him, no, like, there's no downside. Obviously, because you're mitigating the problems. Duh. So here, Doggo's just doing his thing. Burb's doing his thing. Not a lot of real action here. Mostly using those sandbag activations. If I was intelligent, I would be activating Boar here, because he's starting to set up that, like, closing trap where Boar gets into dead range, and that's dangerous. I'm going to forget to heal Boar because I'm a shit player, and I'm just going to go with Ox. So here, on an Ox Legendary, good things happen. Legendary and charging and owner and all the good things. So we start smashing Skulk. Only gave Ox 3 though, so, you know, even new errated Ox with personal punching power can only do so much. I've got a lead though. I'm starting to really bleed time. Like, if you can see, I'm down 8 minutes now, so that's not ideal. But we're within striking distance of the 12, so, you know, just getting over it, I suppose, is the name of the game. Here is Cossa going in. This is where like, oops, forgot to heal Boar. Guess he's dead now. Buckets of dice against 3-0s, definitely dead now. Takes the Screeching Banshee, getting the wrap on the first charge, so that is definitely a dead Boar. Not too bad, though. He is going to get to kill me. I get a swing back, so, you know, it's not the end of the world. This is going to put Cosset within dying range. She was on about 7 or 8 when she went in, so she's coming out at a bit lower, which is not ideal for him, because if your players are at middling health against a butcher, you might live, they might roll bad. If you're on low health, it's almost impossible for you to come out okay. Here, just some stuff. Rolling dice. I'm not sure this is bad for Dave, but I definitely think I would have liked to go with Obulus instead and just not have Cosset so exposed. Just having a almost dead Skulk and then an almost dead Cosset in the middle of the scrum just seems a bit risky. He's only down 4 points at this point, so he's closing the gap, but I think he's giving me too many opportunities to get my 4 points while he's catching up, and that's just sort of what's going to cost him the game here. This is sort of how you need to, like, get back into games. Not only, like, you need to score your points, but you need to make sure that they're not going to get their points and win the game first. You can very easily get enough points to finish with a not embarrassing scoreline, but if you actually want to win that game, you need to be playing to outs, not just playing for VPs. So, here, Boiler goes in, Boiler rolls dice, models die, life is good. Boiler not rolling magically, but at this point it doesn't matter, Skull's just wrecked. This is a bit like You might have seen me measure there, and I was trying to get a bit greedy, going for Cosset and Skulk. Turns out, you know, whatever. Wouldn't have mattered, but still. It'd be nice. It'd be nice. So, funnily enough, Skulk dies. Ox Legendary. Just things. Here, Depression sets in. Obulus just outside of Goal Run. Yet again. Rough. Turns out that kick was dead for him too. A bit awkward, you know, such is life. Obulus goes in. Whatever, we'll deploy some beats. Hitting on Ox here. Knocking down Ox. Doing, you know, doing things. This is fine. There's not really any other accessible VPs for him anyway. Boiler's on full. Brisket's on full. Doggo's not really going to help him. I don't have any influence left, so he might have taken this opportunity to just kill the Doggo. Trigger loved creature, but sort of new to Boiler. But unless you see the handy dandy little Muson Minis red cross symbol there that he's already healed Cosset, so it's not really going to accomplish a lot. With the Ox Aura, the owner, that's it, the owner, he's probably not going to keep Cosset anyway. Needs me to roll pretty badly. So here he is up 2. Thanks to obvious farming momentum. I win the roll anyway, sadly. So that's how it goes. Such is life. Oh yeah, that's his last activation. He just sort of dirtles the brain pan, does some stuff. Doesn't really matter. So yeah, there's me winning the roll. Sadness is, I stack up Ox and have Ox do it. Turns out Ox is still no filler, even after the errata, but, you know, whatever. He'll get there. It's not hard to kill a Cosset on, like, fuck all boxes. So, yeah, that's another Butcher's game. Not really an Ox game. He sort of pulled the end of that game himself, but felt like that game was largely but won by Shank and Boiler early. And then that pretty sweet Brisket 6-point activation just put me into cruise control. Feel like, once again, Dave might have overextended Silence a teeny weeny bit. He ended up putting the AoE quite far back, but he sort of does want his players to get up the pitch, and just that balance of keeping them out of threat range while measuring efficiently and not burning your clock is quite hard to get sometimes. You'll see he's got reasonable clock management, being consistently up on my shitty clock management here by like 6 to 8 minutes the whole game. So, I don't know, that's just one of those things. You get better. Or you get Butchers. Because Butchers are for scrubs, apparently. I don't know, I like Butchers. Whatever. Fuck people. Fuck the internet. Butchers!